Heyo! Welcome back, everybody, to the Fast Break with Taylor and Jake. Once again, my name is Taylor Harper, and over here on my left, where the heck is Jake?
Ah!
Oh, gosh.
Ah!
Well, there you have it. Jake is here.
Fast Break 21. Let's
Fast Break.
go.
So once again, my name is Taylor Harper, and here in the flesh is Mr. Jacob Merritt. It's good to have you here, Jake, as always. We do want to give that nice shout out to Dayton again for being on our show last episode. He said, I'll get you guys 5 subscribers. He actually got us 4. So that's actually not too bad. So once again, shout out to Dayton for
80%. That's
yeah.
an E-.
Right. So once again, thanks for being on our show. We would love to have you on again. And we'll try to be on your show as well and get Jake on there next time. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. We got some stuff to talk about, but it's not like, I don't expect it to be our longest episode. But I know Jake's brought up a few ideas, and we'll give it to him. I don't think any of us really prepared a player profile. We're going to probably basically get into a player profile because we're going to talk about the Last Dance documentary that aired on Sunday, part 1 and 2 out of 10. So it's going to be a 10-part documentary, which is pretty awesome. And we're going to get into that. So I guess Michael will be our unofficial player profile for this week and the next 5 weeks. So
you didn't watch it at all?
I started watching. I think I watched the first episode.
Okay. Did you learn anything exciting about Michael in particular? Any story that stuck out to you?
Not really.
I got one.
Okay.
When Michael Jordan, when he was in his second year in the league, he broke his foot and was out for a long time. And then when he came back, I think it was like the last 15 games of the season or so. And he was working to come back from injury. He was on a minutes restriction. And one thing I learned from the documentary that I didn't know about before was the general manager, was it like Jerry Krause?
Jerry Krause, yeah.
He did put together good teams, but some things that he did, I just did not understand.
Right.
Like, and him and Michael Jordan really seemed to butt heads, and obviously the Bulls in general had a lot of problems with Jerry Krause.
Right.
One story that stuck out to me, though, is when Michael Jordan was coming back. He was on his minutes restriction, and there was a game. There was 30 seconds left, and if they won this game, the Bulls were making the playoffs. It was last game of the season, I believe, against the Pacers, and there was 30 seconds, and Michael Jordan was like, "Coach, like, put me in like."
Right.
The 14 minutes he was able to play, he was giving them buckets, and they did take him out, and he was just begging his coach. I can't remember who it was at the time. I think it was Phil yet. And essentially, Jerry Krause wanted the Bulls not to make the playoffs so they would have a better chance at a lottery pick.
Right.
And Michael Jordan, and this is one of the things that I, from the 2 episodes that I've seen, is like how competitive Michael Jordan was. Everyone knows that. But his thought was, we play to win,
Right.
It's not really going to help us to try and lose, keeping me out of this game, trying not to make the playoffs. The Bulls front office was actively trying not to make the playoffs. And Michael Jordan said, like, that's just not how I am. That's not what we should be building. Right. And I really liked that, is that they knew they probably weren't going to win the finals. I'm sure Michael Jordan even knew that. They were trying to squeak into the playoffs, but he didn't care. So I really thought that was a very interesting story, and obviously there's a lot that happened between the 2 episodes.
Right.
So that was a story that I really enjoyed hearing. I thought that was really cool to tie that in there. It really kind of helped you understand, how competitive Michael Jordan was, and how important it was for him to win every game at all costs.
Right. Another just quick thing that I think I knew, but I didn't really think I knew it. His rookie stats are incredible. And he averaged 28 points, 6.5 rebounds and 6 assists, 2.4 steals. That's a rookie.
He and Oscar Robertson, I learned this, are the only rookies to average over 25, 5 and 5 as a rookie. So that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, He became the second rookie in NBA history to ever average, like you said, 25 and 5. I believe he also made the All-Star team.
I can't imagine. Yeah, averaging 28 points.
But
that is incredible for a rookie to average 28 points.
And the thing that I really admire about Michael is he's kind of like Giannis in a way. Giannis, he can't shoot. To be honest, let's face it, Jordan really couldn't shoot either. Outside. He couldn't really shoot. He wasn't very good at threes. I mean, and he's still putting up 28, 30, 40, 50 a game.
I mean, the game was a little bit different back then. And,
right.
And, like, you really just watch the highlights, and I'm like, they're all so clumped under the paint.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so foreign from the basketball that we've come to know and really, like, I mean, once you get a little bit older is when you start to kind of watch how the game is actually played and play style. So especially as we've gotten a little bit older the last, 5, 6, 7 years is when we kind of notice how the game is played instead of just kind of watching and, not really understanding what's going on.
Right.
That's just a little side note, but yeah, I was really thinking how Giannis reminds me a lot of Jordan in the fact that one quote that Michael Jordan's father said, like, if you tell, the best way to motivate Michael Jordan is to tell him he can't do something or to say that someone else is better at it than him, and he will take it personally and he will not stop until he proves you wrong.
Right.
And I think that's how Giannis is.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah. I think it was yesterday, like 30 years ago yesterday. 40 years ago yesterday, maybe. Maybe 30 years ago. That sounds about right. But regardless, Michael Jordan dropped 63 points against the Celtics in a playoff game. The Celtics actually won that game, but Larry Bird at the end of the game said that was not Michael Jordan playing out there. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan. So that from Larry Bird, who was one of the biggest trash talkers, if not the biggest in NBA history, giving nod to Michael Jordan in that way, calling him basically God. He is God. He is the God of basketball. Michael Jordan is. And he's just so incredible. I really, really wish I would have been alive to actually see him in his prime. Like you said, we watch highlights of these guys. That's great. Highlights are made to make players look great. But he really was great. And I think this documentary is finally going to give us everything.
Kind of tell them the full story.
The whole thing of Michael Jordan. And not just his athleticism, but his leadership, his commitment, his hard work. I think it's going to fully dive into how good Michael really was. For people like us who didn't get to watch him back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, I mean,
another thing is, it's like unseen footage from a camera crew that was able to closely follow him. I mean, yeah, other people were able to watch the games live, hear about Jordan, but you didn't see it as up close and personal. So I think we're all going to learn a little bit more on a deeper level, like a little bit more about him. Yeah, I'm excited to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
I really am. I watched it actually this morning. I was a little bit busy on Sunday, but I definitely want to keep going because it's not just about Michael Jordan.
No, it's about the Bulls.
It's about the Bulls. It's about the 1997 and 98 Bulls, their last season together. And obviously they go, it's mostly about Michael Jordan.
Right, let's face it.
Because he was the face of the franchise, the face of the NBA. And so how do you not make it about him? But they're also talking about, Scottie Pippen. And I would imagine they'll talk about Dennis Rodman and Phil Jackson and
here's something
some of the role players.
I'm going to say, and it's kind of weird, because I don't think a lot of people like Dennis Rodman, but I absolutely love Dennis Rodman. I don't like him.
I think a lot of people like his,
the way he plays is incredible. He will get you literally 0 points. The dude, what is he? 6'8", you think?
6'7", I think.
6'7". And he will grab you 20 to 30 rebounds. 6'7". He won't score a dang point, but he will go out there and he will grab. I heard a thing, I can't remember where it was from, what he would do in practice, like in warm-ups. Like when they were actually at a game, players shoot the ball and get warmed up and everything. He wouldn't warm up. He would sit there at half court and watch the other team shoot to see when they shoot, to see how many spins the ball takes before it hits the thing, to see if it misses, where it's going to go. So he can project where he needs to be when whoever's shooting just so he can grab rebound.
That's crazy.
He is ridiculous. Dennis Rodman is as weird as you can get of a person, but he is very intelligent when it comes to like the whole defensive aspect of basketball. He has down to a T. I mean, crazy goof.
It was. The Bulls had such a complete team. I mean, you had Michael Jordan, who was like number one, the scorer, the leader, the face. You had Scottie Pippen, who was number two guy, as good of a number two as has ever been.
Right.
Incredibly great defender, passer, rebounder, very good player. Dennis Rodman, it's kind of like your enforcer, kind of the guy to freak you out. Like, you don't, like, that's a scary team to play. This Bulls team is a scary team to play. You got Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman. Like, Michael Jordan is going to kill you on offense and defense. And Rodman's literally just going to kill you. So, I mean, Dennis Rodman, I watched, I think they just did they've done a 30 for 30 on him that they were just showing a couple weeks ago that was really interesting to watch. So, Dennis Rodman, I hope he gets, like, some time in this series. I'm sure he will. I mean,
Scottie Pippen, let's touch more on Scottie Pippen. He is the greatest Robin to a Batman as you can, right? I mean, Scottie Pippen is one thing that I don't think people talk about a lot, but they might. I don't know. Maybe they do. It's not necessarily his scoring, because his scoring was never phenomenal. Like, his career high looks like in a season was 22 points. That's nothing to like, he's so good, but he really was. First of which, back-to-back seasons averaging 2.9 steals. I mean, for his career, averaged almost a block a game and 2 steals a game. That team was defensively stacked.
Yeah.
And I think as good of a defensive player as Michael Jordan was, I think Scottie Pippen was probably the best defender to put on your best player. If I was to have anyone try to guard LeBron, it wouldn't be Michael.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Rodman. I'd be Pippen. Gone. And Pippen's come out and said that he thinks Michael is a heck of a lot better than Jordan, or Jordan's a lot better than LeBron and everything.
I think he's kind of switched back and forth. I've heard Pippen say different things.
Right. But I think Scottie Pippen, as much respect as he gets, I don't think he actually deserves, or I don't think he's been given as much respect as he fully deserves, because that team, I'm really excited to watch this whole documentary. It's going to be
and if you haven't watched it, this is going to be one of those things that they play during, NBA off season, kind of when sports is off. Like, they're going to play this a lot. Like, this is going to be one of they've put a lot of time. You can tell how much work they've put into this, and they're going to make a lot of money off of it, and they're going to keep playing it. So if you haven't seen it, don't worry too much. I know they partnered, with Netflix to make it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so outside of, the States, outside of the US, I think you have to watch it on Netflix.
Oh, outside of the States?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I can't remember all the different...
Right.
Yeah, I think outside of the United States, they're only airing it on Netflix. So if we have any international listeners, catch it on Netflix. Yeah, this will be a good one to keep watching. I feel like this is going to be one of those things that we're going to keep watching.
Okay. Did you know this, Jake? I don't know. How many teams did you think Scottie Pippen played for?
I know at least 2.
I did. I thought it was 2, but it was actually 3. His last season was with the Houston Rockets.
Was it?
I did not know that. Played 50 games for the Rockets. Averaged 14.5 points.
Oh.
I did not know that. I thought it was just Chicago and Portland. But then his last season, so he bounced around. So he went from Chicago. He didn't go from Chicago to Portland. I thought he did. He went from Chicago to Houston to Portland, then back to Chicago.
For his last year.
I did not know that. He did absolute garbage in his last season. But what do you expect from a 38-year-old? But that's all right. Scottie Pippen is... I'm excited to learn more about him too, because I think we know a heck of a lot about Michael Jordan. But we don't know a lot of the background players. Not that Scottie's a background player by any means, but I don't know, Steve Kerr, Bill Cartwright. We're gonna probably learn a lot about these players that we didn't know. So please go watch the documentary, and I will go back and watch it as well. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. His nickname was Robin. Batman and Robin. So there you go. Perfect Robin to Batman. Sweet. So yeah.
Do you think there's going to be more like, I don't know, maybe not this in depth, but they're going to try and like do more like marquee player, like big documentaries, like one for Kobe, one for LeBron, the other players. Like I'm excited to see, like, I'll be honest, like you connect more with the players that you watch growing up.
Right.
So I would really like to see them, and it could be a couple years before they make one about Kobe. I would guess they're probably not going to try and get to that right away.
Right.
But I'm sure there will be, a whole documentary about LeBron and, stuff like that. So
I do for sure. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but I think a few years down the road.
I mean, they've been making this for a couple of years. They had interviews with David Stern and
right. Oh yeah.
From what looked like a few years ago. It obviously takes a long time to produce a film like this. So, but yeah, I do hope they continue to make these types of documentaries. I like sports documentaries; they're interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do eventually do about the 73-9 Warriors. To be honest, that was a wild season because if you remember, the Warriors beat the Chicago Bulls 72-10 record with 73-9, which is already historic. That might not be broken for as long as it took the Warriors to do it,
Mm-hmm.
But in the Western Conference Finals, they were down 3-1 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder thought they were in the finals. Warriors came back and won 4-3. But then the Warriors were up 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And then the Cavaliers came back. So, it was just like the craziest season. And if you're a Warriors fan, it was a season you want to forget, despite them breaking the record. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that, or I don't know. But
yeah, I think they could definitely make one about the Warriors that kind of, especially they could kind of, I feel like you could really focus that around Steph Curry because he's been there since day one.
Right.
You can go back to how they had, Baron Davis, Monte Ellis, and some of the players, and they were a good team, and they were a playoff team, and then they, I think they maybe had a couple down years. Is that kind of how they got their higher draft picks with Steph and Clay, and then over time, when I don't really remember how the Warriors ended up getting so good. It almost felt like overnight, didn't it? I mean, good team, playoff team, and then it seems like I don't know what happened. They were just an incredibly good team almost in 1 year where they won that first finals in 2015, I believe. And I mean, they have good players. They have Clay and they have Steph and Draymond. Steph, in my mind, is the top 5 player. But other than that, I just don't understand how they got so dominant.
Right.
Was their first finals that was with Steve? Was that with Steve Kerr?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he made the difference?
No. I love Steve Kerr to death. Love Steve Kerr. But you watch the team this year with Steve, and I don't know if he knew that they were going to be bad, so he's just tank. I don't know if that's what he did. But when you're a coach and you've been hand-fed those players,
oh yeah,
you have the easiest job. He even said, "I have the easiest job in basketball." So when he was the All-Star game coach, he's like, "I got the easiest game." It was funny that he showed him in a huddle. He's like, "You pass to this guy, you pass to him, you pass to him, you pass to him, and just shoot." That's all they are. I mean, Steve Kerr, I love the guy. And he might be actually an excellent coach. He just has an absolute terrible team this year, which, of course, he does. Mm-hmm. But
I think coaches get too much credit, and too much blame.
Yes.
They touched on this during the documentary, actually. The GM, he said, players and coaches don't win championships alone. It takes an organization. And that's true, obviously the players get a lot of help from the organization, but no coach has ever scored a basket in the finals. No general manager has ever scored a basket in the finals. Right. To me, I think coaches, like Steve Kerr, get too much credit when they have a 73-9 series, and then too much blame, perhaps, this last year. And I think people kind of look at their roster and they don't really blame Steve Kerr for having a bad season, but it just kind of goes to show, I think a lot of coaching is luck, genuinely, I really do. Having good players, and obviously it takes skill to put it together and have them get along but I could see. I think we could see a documentary about the Warriors for sure, and maybe they come back better next year. And this last year was just a fascinating twist in their documentary. So who knows?
So we touched on how me and Jake both love Dennis Rodman. We love Steve Kerr. Jake had an interesting idea on players we might not like so much. We always do top 5 players in the league, top 5 favorite players. Top 5 players we don't necessarily like. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
You already have a list?
No, I've got kind of a list in my head, but I got to kind of put it down a little bit.
I want you to go first to see who you give me. Maybe I'll steal some of those names.
All right, let's see here.
But yeah, it's always fun, because people are always talking about their top 5 best players, top 5 favorite players. But we never really dive into players we don't like as much or games we don't like as much, So this is kind of a tidal wave.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I've got a couple good ones. Oh, there's one more. And let's see here. All right, I'm gonna give you my 4, and then I'm sure I'll think of one along the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with Ben Simmons.
Okay, that's fair.
Because Ben Simmons, oh man, I don't know if you heard this quote that he said. He's like, I'd rather shoot 40% than 30%. Basically justifying the fact that he doesn't even try. He doesn't even try to make a 3. His coach literally begged him at the beginning of the year, and he still didn't. He said, I could be one of those guys right now shooting 30% right now, but I'd rather be one of those guys shooting 40%. I'm like, you only shoot from 5 feet away from the basket. You better be better than 40%.
Right.
You be 50, 60%. Like, layups and dunks, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. So, I just don't really care for Ben Simmons because I think he's really arrogant. I think he is wants to look good for himself. I just don't like Ben Simmons. The next one is Patrick Beverley.
Yep.
Just because I do like the way that he plays, but it almost drives me crazy too. Like, he just seems like kind of just an annoying like a yappy little chihuahua.
That's right. That's Patrick Beverley.
Patrick Beverley. If you have a chihuahua, not all chihuahuas are bad, just the yappy ones. Patrick Beverley, don't really care for him all that much. He is a competitor, but he's just kind of ridiculous. The next one is James Harden, and I just don't like the way he plays. I was actually listening to an episode we previously did. It was when Harden was on a massive shooting slump, going 1 for 17, 4 for 20, 3 for 18. Like, I'm not joking. Those are his field goals from 3. I think he just doesn't seem like he really cares at all. Maybe that's just his personality, and I'm obviously he does care to put in the work that he does to get as good as he does. James Harden, just don't like him. The next one, Enes Kanter. Don't like Enes Kanter whatsoever. He just thinks he is.
I don't know what he thinks he is.
I don't know what he thinks he is, but he thinks he's like the best player. I don't know. I don't feel like he even thinks he's the best player. He just tends to piss me off. I mean, he left the Jazz. He was not good on the Jazz. I just don't like Enes Kanter. I don't like how he was like, I don't know, dissing and crapping on LeBron.
And Utah. He was hating on Utah so hardcore.
Yeah, so that one's a little bit more personal.
Yeah,
that's 4. And then number 5, I'll just go Draymond Green.
That's why I was waiting for you to say Draymond.
Because I think he was a huge reason. I think he was a huge reason why Kevin Durant ended up leaving, because of what he said to Kevin Durant. And I don't think he wants to accept responsibility. I also don't like that he kicked Steven Adams, one of the most likable players in the NBA.
Steven Adams is awesome.
In the place you don't want to be kicked. And he did it, I think, multiple times. So, yeah, I think Draymond is, like Charles Barkley said, he's the least popular member of the boy band. And he thinks all the ladies are screaming for him. So
Right.
that's
pretty fair
my
list.
five. I got Simmons, Patrick Beverly, Cantor, who's the other one? Harden, and Draymond. They all just kind of just drive me crazy a little bit.
So I'm looking at this list on here to try to bump names for me, and it's not giving me like very good names. Like Jimmy Butler, okay. Rondo, I can see why people don't like. Honestly, I love Rondo to death, but I can see why people do not like Rajon Rondo.
Yeah.
Like Kawhi.
Who
DeMarcus
doesn't like Kawhi? Yeah. What do you have to not like about Kawhi?
Right.
Other than load management.
Yeah. Steph, I honestly don't know why people do not like Steph, to be honest. Because really, what has Steph done wrong except beat your favorite team? That's how I feel about it. Like Steph, he might have his mouth guard out and shimmy a lot, but that's nowhere.
It's just annoying to watch.
It's annoying, but like, you can't hate on Steph for doing that. The guy's 6'3". He's gonna get beat by LeBron anyway. And just let him have his little shimmy.
Him throwing his mouth guard twice, like that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but it's annoying. So I can see, like personally, I can see why people don't really care for.
Would you put him in your top 5 dislike list?
Steph?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, he's just.
I don't know why.
Here's the thing. Steph is just a little annoying for me to watch on the court. Just a little bit annoying. But off the court, he seems like a great guy. He seems like a great teammate. Steph Curry as a person, just A+, but just on the court, just a little bit annoying.
And like Trae Young, why would anyone hate Trae Young? What's Trae Young done to you? He can't even win a game.
I don't know.
He's done nothing to you. He's done nothing to you.
I don't know.
But no, I do have to piggyback on Patrick Beverly. Man, Patrick Beverly is one of those guys that he's very, very annoying to watch. And me and Jake, you guys, believe it or not, when we train for basketball, we train pretty heavy. One of our little drills we do is both defensive drill and dribbling drill, where one of us will play the Patrick Beverly role. Or if you guys don't know who Patrick Beverly is, he does not give you an inch of space. I don't even think he's that good at defense. To be honest, all he does is he's just swiping at you all the time and pushing you and just swiping you. And it gets you good at dribbling, but I don't know if that's really good defense to me. I don't know.
I think he just gets under people's skin more than anything.
The dude is like 6'1".
He's not big.
And he's always like bashing LeBron. He's always up in LeBron's face. I'm like, dude, if LeBron took one swipe at you, you're down. But no, LeBron would never do that because he's a lot smarter than that. He's a lot smarter than Patrick Beverly. But here's a name that I might get a little hate for. I don't know. I am not the biggest fan whatsoever of Chris Paul.
A lot of people feel that way.
I mean, especially coming from the Utah staff, but a lot of Utah people do not like Chris Paul. Especially from the past 2 years ago, they versed him twice in the past 2 years or 3 years, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. In the playoffs. Years, and he's kind of like Patrick Beverly in the sense that he tries to get under your skin. He's not the best. He's always bumping you and pushing you, kind of. He flops so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that drives me crazy.
And
he does he does things like he got Jordan Bell a technical because he checked into the game and his jersey wasn't tucked in.
Right.
Nitpicky little thing. It is a rule.
Yeah.
You almost kind of hate him for being as smart as he is. I think Chris Paul's a really smart player.
Absolutely, we've touched on how important he really is to any team he goes to, because the Thunder, they should be near the bottom of the league right now, to be honest, with the roster they have.
They're fifth.
But they're fifth
in the West.
And it's because of Chris Paul. Let's be honest. It's because of Chris Paul. It's not because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's not because of Steven Adams. It's because of Chris Paul and Grayson Allen. I don't know. Another person I'm not a huge fan of is LeBron. Just he's the same way with Chris Paul. Flops a lot, complains. As good as you are, this is the way I feel LeBron thinks. I'm saying this as if I'm LeBron. He's God's gift to the world as far as basketball talent goes. So he cannot receive any fouls. And when he gets a foul, no matter if he pushes him to the ground, no matter if he touches him like this, he always has to go to the ref and ask why. Always. He can never let a foul just go. He'll never be one of those guys who gets a foul and raises his hand and say, yeah, that was me, you got the foul. He'll never be that guy. He'll always go, it wasn't me. I can't touch anyone like that. I'm LeBron James. That's how I feel like he always is. And it's like, dude, take one foul. I think I've watched him the past 5 years. I think he's only got fouled out maybe like twice. I'm like, so it's like you don't get a lot of fouls. It's not like he fouls out. It's not like he's DeMarcus Cousins. He gets fouled out every other game. He gets fouled out once in like 5 years. So I'm like, you can take a foul. Brush it off.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
I like LeBron James, but like
Right.
I can totally see why there are things that he does that people just rub him the wrong way for sure.
It's like not a huge fan of Steph on the court, but off the court he's an A+. That's kind of how I am with LeBron. LeBron, don't like him on the court. Off the court, he's fine.
Just kind of some things that bug you, just some tendencies, you know.
Kelly Olynyk, that's hilarious. Well, I love Blake Griffin.
Yeah, Taylor's looking at a list of some. Is this like some of the least
This is the
favorite?
top 20 most hated NBA players, and some of
From-
these guys like, yeah, that's one. I can say that one. I'll say Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of Russell Westbrook. I love Russell Westbrook. It's not up there. I do actually have a Russell Westbrook jersey. I love Russell Westbrook, man, and then he's not like Jake. I think Jake has said it the best anytime. He's just an Energizer Bunny, which is awesome. It's awesome to. I really wish I could run up and down the court and literally run up and down the court, but I'm not as in shape as Russell. But like regardless,
no one as in good a shape as Russell Westbrook.
But like regardless, he will never ever jog anywhere, and that part's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't shoot. He can't. He's not the best. He can't play defense, but he's not like the best defensive. I don't know why I don't like him. To be honest,
I think he.
Oh yeah.
Here's what I think Russell Westbrook does. He thinks the world is out to get him. I think, aside from his teammates, I think he's a good teammate, and I think he would do anything for his teammates. I really do. But I think he thinks all the fans, every other player, they just he thinks this is, and I think a lot of people do like Russell Westbrook. I think a lot of the players admire Russell Westbrook, but I think he thinks he is hated, and he has to prove everyone wrong, and he has to take over the game so to shut up his haters,
right.
You know. And I don't think that's the case. I think he gets into it with like fans and stuff, which has really hurt his reputation. And yeah, anyways, yeah, I've honestly the last few months come to really admire and respect Russell Westbrook a lot more. I would definitely put him in top 10 at this point. When we did our top 10 list at the time, not favorite, just
in the
top
league.
10 best in the league.
I got you. Yep.
Because he really, he's so when he is jacking up threes, you're totally fine with it. You want him to keep doing that. But when he's getting to the basket, like you got to watch out. You know, like he's a good player, and he's a great passer. I think I underestimated how good of a point guard he was as in passing. I think he's a really good passer.
I'm trying to think of this last one. I have a name that I could totally say, but I have no evidence to back it up whatsoever.
Say it.
I'm gonna say it. This is probably gonna be the most hated one. I have no idea, but I just cannot stand Joe Ingles. I don't know why.
What did Joe ever do?
I don't know. I guess I have really no evidence to back up. But I just look at Joe Ingles and I'm like, I'm like Sideshow Bob. Maybe it's just like I look at him like you should be at home with your kid. He looks like a dad who just belongs at home. He does not look like an NBA player by any means. He literally looked like he just smoked a blunt 5 minutes before the game. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that he's like, I don't know.
He just looks like a normal guy.
And that's fine. I'm not bashing his looks at all. But I'm just like, and the thing is, he's a pretty good at getting under your skin player.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what bugs me. He shouldn't be doing that. looking at him, I'm like, you shouldn't be able to get under my skin. But darn it, you are getting under my skin.
Maybe that's how all the players feel.
Right. I don't know, but like, playmaker, he's awesome. Shooter, one of the best in the leagues.
Good defender.
Good, pretty solid defender. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it's just.
That's funny.
I don't know why. But
that's funny. And then I have another one that just came into mind. I was thinking about this before we came on. Kyrie Irving. Like, I'm sure you probably have stuff to say as a Celtics fan, but he wanted out of Cleveland. He'd been to
oh yeah, why not? I'll
he'd
take
been
that
to
one.
3 straight finals with LeBron. Was it 3? Yeah, it was 3 straight finals with LeBron, and he decided he wanted to be the number 1 guy over LeBron stinking James. He couldn't even accept a secondary role to LeBron James. So he goes to Boston. I'm gonna resign back here next year if you would let me. He's like, I can't wait to play for this team. Out after, was it 2 seasons? He's there for 2 seasons and then he's gone.
Pretty much.
And then he realized he's like,
season and a half.
He's like, being the number 1 guy is not as much fun as I thought it would be. And then he did call LeBron and straight up apologize. He'd be like, yeah, sorry about that. How do you think LeBron felt? He was like, ha ha. So, anyways, Kyrie for that reason.
For sure. I would take Kyrie over.
And he's just a
Ingles.
weird dude.
So
he's just a weird dude.
I will replace Kyrie with Ingles because I do not like Kyrie Irving. I love his shoes though.
Yeah.
I do like his shoes. I got a pair of his shoes that are really, really nice. Custom made by my wife, and they are absolutely awesome.
What do you think about him as like what he did with the Celtics?
He was garbage. He did not and that's the thing. He never performed for the Celtics. I think it took him like 40 games to finally have a 30-point game. Like, this is really frustrating. Mm-hmm. And we weren't winning. We just we started we did win.
I think the first year was better.
The first year we lost our very first 2 games, and then we won our next 16. I think is what it was. So I'm like, okay, whoop, we got this.
Was that first year?
Yeah, first year,
okay.
And then pretty sure it was first year. And then he got injured.
He was a little injured the second year.
I'm like, okay, and then our team showed up, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, led by my boy Jason Tatum. And then in the offseason, or no, it was preseason or the start of the next season, he goes, grabs the microphone at a Celtics game. If you guys will have me, I plan on re-signing. And I was like, thank you. And then all this crap started to boil out. I don't owe anyone blank. I don't know this team blank. And then I'm like, just leave already.
Get out!
Get out of here!
Like Hot Rod, get out!
And then, and now, to watch what he's doing with Brooklyn.
Or not doing.
Not doing. They are so much better off without him, man. Spencer Dinwiddie is balling it up when he's not playing. He still should have been an all-star this year. Spencer Dinwiddie, my boy. But, no, yeah. So, turns out this will only be on YouTube, this episode, because somehow the recording has stopped. I have no idea how, but...
The light is on.
No, the microphone's going, but the recording is not.
Well, shoot.
Yeah. So this will only be on YouTube, which will be fine. I think we actually get a majority of our views from YouTube. We've actually gone up 40 views from our last video, I believe. So I don't know if that was Dayton's presence, but if it was, again, thank you, Dayton. That was super awesome. You wanted to touch... Did we talk about Durant, or did you want to talk?
I did want to dive into a little bit more about Durant. When Durant is healthy, where do you put him ranking-wise in the league?
1.
Really?
I do. And it was when he was in the NBA Finals that first year with Golden State, he just completely obliterated LeBron. I mean, he took LeBron to school that game, and he said, you're not even going to win one game. And LeBron played good. LeBron always plays good, but Durant just played a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe it was just that one year, because I honestly don't think he's going to be the same coming back from his injury at all. He'll probably be able to shoot, that's fine. But sometimes shooting is not the most valuable thing, because he was insanely good at getting to the basket.
Yeah. And
finishing. I don't think he's going to have that. I don't think he's going to be the next Derrick Rose. But I could see it affecting him in that way.
We did see a lot. We got a full career, pretty much a full career from Kevin Durant.
Right. But what I mean, like, in the sense of, like, you could see that DeRozan was scared to try to dunk again.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
His athleticism just went down. And I hope Durant's not that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if Durant went that way in the sense that all he wanted to do was just shoot. I guess maybe it was just that 1 year I would have him at 1. But I'd top 3. I think as long as Durant is playing, he will be a top 3 player. What about you?
2. 2, if not 1. I'm back and forth on between LeBron and Kevin Durant, and I really give LeBron James his credit. I do. I like LeBron James. I really do. He was on my team, and
won 2 rings.
Yeah, won 2 rings for us, and I generally like the style of basketball that he plays, and there are things that he does that bothers me a little bit, and I don't think he's the best teammate ever.
Right.
But honestly, just basketball skill, Kevin Durant is, if not the best, the second best. I think he is better than Giannis because he can shoot. He does play defense. He can rebound. He can pass.
Let's be honest. He's probably about as long as Giannis is.
Yeah.
And if he can shoot, Giannis can shoot as well. Whether maybe Giannis will get that good, I don't know. But I totally
can't
agree.
Shoot like KD.
I totally agree. I do think KD is better than Durant. Or
Giannis
is better than Giannis.
Yeah. To me, without question.
So it's kind of funny. I follow this page on Facebook called Celtics Nation because, well, I'm a part of Celtics Nation. And they're having a poll right now whether Durant or Larry Bird is better. What do you think?
I don't think I know enough about Larry Bird to make an informed decision, but Kevin Durant, when he is healthy, I think the first 5 years in the league, I think he won 4 scoring titles. He might be top 3 scorer of all time,
Right.
And I think he is actually underrated in other aspects of the game as far as
passing,
defense and passing, and I think he's a fine rebounder. Yeah. I mean, he's 7 feet tall, so he gets some rebounds. But I really I have more Kevin Durant shoes right now.
I'm wearing Crocs.
I did not like when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, and it wasn't even the fact. What bothers me is not the fact that he went to a 73-win team. It's the fact that he went to a team that knocked him out after he was up 3-1. That's what bugged me. But at this point, I've kind of gotten over it a little bit, and you just have to respect how good he is. Off the court, I think he's a weird guy. He really is. Might be one of the weirdest NBA superstars of all time. I mean, the Twitter burner accounts. What he said when he does go on shows, when he's in front of a camera, he acts like he doesn't care what people think, but clearly he does, because he openly admitted to still using Twitter burner accounts to defend himself. Dude, you don't have to do that. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're probably a top 10 player of all time, I would say. If not top 10, maybe top 15. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to defend yourself against, regular Joes on Twitter using your burner account. So, anyways, he gets in his feelings a little bit, but it's whatever. I hope he does come back.
I do too.
And is as good as he was when he left. I think it'll be hard because he has been out for so long, and obviously the Achilles is a big injury. Kobe did come back, and he had his last couple years. He was still good, but it'll just be interesting to see. I think Kevin Durant's had a little less miles on his legs, and he's a little bit younger than Kobe was when that happened to him. I think he was 35, 34 when that happened to Kobe.
He was 34.
So I'm sure Kevin Durant will still be good, but I would guess he's going to have to adjust his playing style, mostly maybe to more shooting and posting.
Right. I can see him
rather than attacking the basket.
More like Carmelo.
Yeah.
I can see him and
Dirk even.
Yeah. And here's to back up Jake's claim. He was the first 4 years in the league, had 3 scoring titles. So his rookie year averaged 20 points, and then next year 25. And the next 3 years he won the scoring title with 30, 27, and 28. And then the year after that won another scoring title at 32 points. I mean, one of the greatest scorers to ever lace up his shoes. I mean, this guy is incredible. I mean, it is sad that he is now probably the most hated guy because he did go to Golden State.
One of them.
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating because I've seen it with Ray Allen. Ray Allen obviously was never nearly as good as Kevin Durant.
Right.
But Ray Allen played for my Celtics, got beat by the Heat, went to the Heat and won a ring. I mean, it's frustrating to see. It is the same story. It's just Kevin Durant was
up 3-1.
Up 3-1 and one or two
too.
best players in the entire league trying to chase a ring. But I am glad that I actually thought you were not a big fan of him, so I'm glad you are still.
I've
still a fan
come
of
to
Durant.
absolutely appreciate Durant over time. And I think what he did that really earned my respect back was basically coming back prematurely in the playoffs last year to a team that he wasn't getting the respect he deserved on. I mean, Draymond and him had obviously butted heads throughout the year, and Draymond said, "Oh, we don't need you. Like, get out of here." Basically, I mean, he sort of said, "We don't need you. We were fine without you." They end up losing the finals that same year that he says that after Durant goes out. So, really just coming back from injury to play for a team that he wasn't getting the respect I feel like that he'd earned on.
Right.
That actually earned a lot of respect back for me. And he kind of went out like a hero, I guess. I mean, he came back and gave it his all, and then he injured the same leg.
Yep.
I think it was a different injury, but he'd I think it was the same.
I think
he had a calf injury
and then Achilles,
yeah. Which is like a high Achilles or whatever. I don't know much about anatomy, but either way, I mean, he clearly came back to help the team that he'd been disrespected on. Yeah. This is a lot, I think.
Right.
About the fact that he does just want to win. I think he's more of a competitor than what people thought. People thought he wasn't a competitor after he went to a 73-19 team that knocked him out. And I think this last playoffs, he really did kind of show that he is.
Yeah.
And he went to Brooklyn, who they've not been a powerhouse the last couple of years, so I think he's looking to really make a mark there. I think it'll be interesting when him and Kyrie are playing. I think it's going to be without question Durant's team, because I think Kyrie realized he doesn't want to be the number one guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be kind of the same thing with LeBron James and Kyrie as it was with, or it's going to be the same with Durant and Kyrie as it was with LeBron and Kyrie, where Durant's like, no, like, I'm one of the best in the world, and you're good, and you can be number two, but this is my team.
Oh, I think it has to be that way. I don't think they can win if Kyrie is the number one. I don't think the Nets
if they're battling
win.
for position, I don't think they will.
I think, and LeBron knew it, whether LeBron, let's say, hypothetically, LeBron said, okay, I want you to be number one, Kyrie. LeBron's still going to be number one over Kyrie. Just the way he impacts the game. Now, Kyrie could be number one for the Nets if he wanted, to be honest. But I think in order for them to win, Durant's going to have to come out and say clearly, he's not going to say, Kyrie, I am the best player on this team, give me the ball. He's not going to say that. Yeah. But they need to work something out where they know that Durant is kind of the leader of the team. That's fine to establish a leader, but I don't think Durant's going to come out and say, you're number two, I'm number one. But they do need to establish a leader, and I think that leader does have to be Durant.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. And I think it'll go a long way for his legacy if he's able to win in Brooklyn, especially if they can win a finals, which I wouldn't put money on.
Right.
But we haven't seen them at all. We have no idea how good they're going to be.
But
I think it would be huge for Durant's legacy if he won in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I think Brooklyn could be a really good team. I really do.
Yeah.
And they showed it with D'Angelo Russell. Like, I just love Dinwiddie to death, and I think Dinwiddie's going to be more valuable off the bench than Kyrie is starting. Because, possibly. I mean, I don't know. That team really does when Kyrie doesn't play, they look like they know what they're doing. So I'm hoping when Durant comes back, it stays that way. Even with Kyrie in the lineup, Durant will be like, okay, let's just slow down, because Kyrie, he's a go guy. He's a go guy. He always wants to cross you up, so he's constantly dribbling, trying to get a play going. Sometimes you just need to take a step back, get a good play going. And I think Durant is going to bring that to him. But I do agree with Jake. I wouldn't put money on him to win.
But we have no idea.
I have no idea.
And speaking of that, what's your percentage confidence that this season finishes out? That there's a crowned NBA champion for the 2019-2020 season.
100.
Are you serious?
Yep. They are. I came out and I heard a thing that they said they're pretty dang sure this is going to be a salvageable season, and they're leaning towards. And like Dayton said, I really think the NBA is trying to see as soon as they make it okay, they're going to slam on it and be like, "Hey, season's back up. Let's get going. Let's go." Okay, 85%. I'm 80 to 85% sure that we're gonna have. I don't know. I just don't know how you can cancel everything. Like, let's say they do that. Let's say they start a new season over. Do they just delete everyone's stats, like from record book, or do they keep them? I don't know how they could do that. I think they have to at least crown someone, because I don't know, that this has just been exhibition. If that's all it is. It's just been it's just been a long preseason. A long preseason. That's all it is.
That's true. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, as time goes on, I just get less and less confidence. I'm losing hope, man.
They're gonna do it.
I'm like 25%.
They gotta do it.
I have like 25% confidence.
25?
Yeah.
Really?
Because, did you hear like Florida? Like,
are you talking like finish the season or finish the finals? Because season, I couldn't care less.
I mean the finals, dude.
You really don't think they're gonna finish finals?
I don't know. Because, like...
Chick, we need this closure.
I know.
You said, I need closure.
I do, but I just don't know if it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Because, you know, I'm kind of seeing two sides to this story. Like, I think people are getting a little bit more opinionated about what's happening with the coronavirus pandemic. I think a lot of people are kind of sick of everything being shut down, and they kind of want life to keep going. And I see what they're saying because... You know, there's other diseases that we haven't taken this serious. We don't take the flu this serious every year. And I understand, like, the, you know, economic impact that it's going to have, and the fact that people are having a hard time paying their bills and they need to get back to work. Because you can't just pause everything forever. But I also understand people that, you know, no one is expendable. You know, people with poor health conditions or people who are a little bit older, you can't just say, you know what, I'm sick of staying inside, open everything back up, put people who, you know, before this thing is kind of settled, put them at risk. And you can't just say, oh, we didn't take other stuff seriously, so we're not going to take this serious. I think that's wrong. So it's just kind of hard to find the balance, and I that 25% is the part of me that thinks like they're just gonna find a bubble and finish out the season, just the players, obviously no fans. That's not gonna happen for a while. I don't think fans are coming back in.
Fans, I don't think the fans will know.
But I think it would. I really do still think it's gonna be hard to completely isolate players and set something up where it's just teams, players, and people necessary to have games, hold games, and broadcast them. I just don't know logistically if they're going to be able to do it at this point, like so fast.
Fast-wise, I could see it happening. July or August, because like there are already businesses that are going to be open back up the start of May or the end of May, whatever. Start of end of May, whatever. Yeah. But they're already starting to think about opening up businesses. And now I don't want them to rush in and open a business. Now, if they open businesses up too early and it starts up big again, then I'd be like, then cancel it.
Yeah.
But like,
until there's a vaccine.
Here's what they should do. And then I'm the commissioner right here. No, I don't know. I don't know. Take teams, all you need. Here's what we need to do. Just the players and refs. In an empty arena. No, you don't even need to broadcast it. Don't broadcast the games, because the games didn't even used to be like in the 50s and 40s and 30s and 60s. Some games weren't even broadcasted. So we know it can be done, and we know the news can be spread. All you need is to play a game in a practice, because practice exhibitions for teams aren't televised. So all they do, go into their buildings and play a game, and then after the game, post who won. Would you like to find out that way? Breaking news: the Brooklyn Nets, or whatever. No, you don't need to watch it. That's fine. I just need.
I think they would need to broadcast it because ultimately it's for business, and if you're not at least selling out stadiums, I mean, no one's gonna sponsor them. The league's not gonna get any sponsors if they're not broadcasting games, and no one's going to them. And then obviously TV money is huge, and you've got like TV contracts that they've got to fulfill, and it's just best case scenario in. Maybe July, you do a training camp, maybe even if it's just the playoff teams, the top 8 from each conference, have them get into training camp, get them back in shape and in practice, at least, a month, 25 days, whatever, because they're going to have to get in shape. They're going to have to get their skills sharpened a little bit, and at least a little bit. And then shortened playoffs, get them back to the off season so you can figure out what you're going to do for next year.
Here's my thought process on some of these NBA players, like Tatum and Hayward included. They don't have access to a hoop. Jake, I have a basketball hoop outside my house. And Jason Tatum was live on Instagram or whatever.
I haven't touched a basketball for 3 weeks. Didn't he say
5 weeks? And he says, I just ordered a hoop. You just ordered a hoop? You've been in the league for 3 years. Gordon Hayward's been in the league for 10 years. What are you doing not having? Gordon Hayward does not have a hoop.
How though?
I don't know.
I'm being serious. Tatum, he's just been in the league for just a couple of years, and maybe he wasn't ready to purchase a house,
$50 hoop at Walmart.
Well, I mean like a house and property to put a hoop on, because you can't put it in your apartment building, and he obviously can't go to a gym or a park. Basically, the players that can play are playing on their personal hoops. The ones that have, the ability to put a hoop where they live. But Gordon Hayward's been in the league for 8, 9, 10 years.
And I believe
he got a huge contract in Boston. You're telling me Gordon Hayward couldn't pay someone to pour some cement and install a hoop on his, what does he make, at least $20 million a year, 25, 30 million a year?
I think.
$30 million a year.
I
know property is expensive in Boston, Gordon. But you couldn't.
But $30 million can get it. $30 million can get it done. I don't know. It just blew my mind when.
It's going to be rough to come back. I'm not going to lie.
It is, and
especially if they just try and throw them all back in.
Players who've got hoops. Didn't Giannis say he doesn't have a hoop either?
I think he's got one in his house or something, doesn't he?
That's fine. That's all you need.
No, I think he has a court in his house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But anyways.
But Gordon Hayward doesn't have a basketball hoop. Gordon Hayward does not have a basketball hoop. And I don't know how you get away. And I get, what does he have, 3, 4 daughters? So maybe that's why he doesn't have a hoop.
Maybe.
Because he doesn't have a boy to play with. But
I guess I can kind of see it when you've got a nice facility and people at your disposal to catch rebounds all the time. And I would imagine he probably was, relatively close to their practice facility. At least obviously he's going to go there every day for practice. I guess he just didn't think about the fact that he wouldn't have access to the stadium. But anyway.
Well, even then, if I'm a dad, when I become a dad, I want to have a family hoop, or I want to go play horse. If I want to go play horse,
your kids.
If I want to go play horse with someone, I got a hoop. And I don't know. It doesn't matter if you have 4 daughters. Women play basketball too. So and even then, it's fun to play horse or just shoot around with your family. And in the off season, he's probably got a little evening. He's probably got an evening to himself to go play basketball with his kids. But I don't know. I'm not judging him or anything. I just don't know how you don't have a hoop. Whether it's one from Walmart, whether one free off KSL, but I wish we did have more planned because we're not going to have this up on our podcast because our recorder stopped working. I wish we had more planned where we could make this like an hour and a half long episode, but I know sometimes that's kind of hard to watch as an hour long episode. It's kind of hard to sit down and watch that much. But maybe we'll, next week, if there's nothing to talk about, Michaela brought up the idea of possibly, have you ever played the game like Who Is This or whatever? Where you got two sides, and you got a bunch of people, and you pick one, and the other person's trying to guess who you are. So you're like, does your person have brown eyes?
Oh.
And you flip, you
Yeah.
Yeah. So do that with NBA players or something. Like, is your player like 6'5" and over? Yeah. So you flip down on the ones who aren't 6'5" and over. I don't know. I think just play. Our objective now is just to play games, pretty much until we hear.
But you know what? I'm like 20%. You said you're like 80%. So together we're 100% confident it's coming back. There you have it. The season's coming back.
The season is coming back. You heard it here first. The Fast Break with Taylor and Jake. 100% positive the NBA season's coming back. So just sit back and relax and wait, because the NBA season is coming back.
And when it does, and in all seriousness, when we do get NBA games again, I'm just going to be really happy.
I'm going to cry.
I'm just going to be real happy.
And last thing, me and Jake will seriously start streaming our 2K games, because we had a 2K game last week. It was
one for the ages.
That was one for the. We didn't stream it. I'm like, Jake, we need to film this. It was so good, and it was better than any game this season.
We just didn't have the cameras on.
Yeah, we just didn't have the cameras on, man.
Before social media.
This is before social media. If you guys know what we're talking about, thumbs up. But if you don't, look at Curry, man.
Look at Curry, man.
Look at Curry.
Such an inspiration.
Such an inspiration.